Hello, everybody. My name is 𝒆𝒂𝒍𝒕𝒉𝒚. I am a psychologist with Counsel India, and today we will be talking about relationship mastery. I want to understand, as a lot of you are professionals here, what exactly do you want us to focus on when it comes to relationship mastery today? You can write your comments in the chat box, whatever your opinions are. So, slowly and steadily, when we go by the PPT and the workshop, I'll keep discussing about and taking up your points as well in between so that everything gets covered. Yes, so what are relationships basically? We all human beings, we live in a society full of people. It's unavoidable. So, thus, relationships are something that we maintain, I'd say, and something that are really important to us in order to live our lives in a very, I'd say, shared manner. Relationships are not a new concept, they have been there since Adam and Eve were there. So, relationships are something that helps us to be good to ourselves and to the people around us as well. So that's what I want to ask you. What, according to you, and what do you think that how important are relationships? You can put your comments down in the chat box. So relationships are something that need building, maintaining, and they are something that helps us to improve our lives and the way we live our lives. The importance of relationship is something that people generally forget, as they believe that okay, we are living with people and it's okay to be in whichever way we want, but it's not like that. Relationships are tricky. They're tricky because no human being is same. Everybody is different. The way we have been brought up is different. Our experiences, our emotions, our thought processor, the way we perceive things, everything is different. So there is when we need to appreciate the other person as an individual as well. The importance of relationships lies in the very essence of our humanity, I'd say. And understanding relationship dynamics are not very easy. They are built upon a lot of things like trust, empathy, respect, which I believe that a lot of people fail to provide to each other, not because they do not want to give it to one another, but maybe because it is difficult for them to understand the dynamics between themselves and the other person as well. So today we're going to talk about relationship management. As we can see that today in this world, everybody has become quite self-involved and self-absorbed, that not everybody is able to deal with relationships in the way they should be dealt with. It's no Sudoku, it's not a big puzzle that you have to solve. They're rather things that if we do and if we make them a habit, it helps our relationships to fit perfectly with each other. So when we talk about relationship management, it is basically managing relationships, maintaining them again, and helping them, the other person, and helping us as well to build and grow in life. So relationship management, it's of two types. Number one, it's personal relationships. When we talk about personal relationships, it means our romantic relationships, our familial relationships, the relationships we have with our friends, our cousins, our relatives. It could be anything that is of personal nature. It is where our mind and heart, our physical body, everything is involved together. So when we talk about personal relationships, generally the idea behind that is mostly about love. The concept of love is mostly present when it comes to personal relationships. And love has many forms. It could be when you are too much caring towards a friend of yours, or you have a very right chemistry with one relative of yours. All parts of it are love. And believe me, I have read this research paper somewhere which says that love is, and there's a tech talk about that also, which says that love, if love is not there in the universe and within the humanity, it will create wars. There would be no evolution. So, love is a very important aspect. And that is what has to be present in the personal relationships as well. As Mahatma Gandhi said, where love is, there is life, which I believe is completely right, because when we talk about personal relationships, those relationships give us a projection of ourselves. I'm not going to go all Freudian here, but yes, I do believe that whatever we see in our childhood, whatever experiences we have had in our childhood, the kind of parental relationships we have seen, the kind of relationships we have seen within our family structure, we do have this sense of, I'd say, belief that okay, relationships have to be a certain way or they are of a certain way, कि जैसे हमने घर पे देखा है वैसे ही होता होगा. A personal relationship would somewhere be like that. Is it visible now?
Yes, yes. It's coming.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so when we talk about personal relationships, I was talking about love and life. Relationships are a very quirky dynamic, I'd say, because it is between two people or three people or more than that. It cannot be, it is, yes, we do talk about the fact that we have to have a relationship with ourselves and we have to have a good relationship with ourselves first in order to build good relationships with people around us. This is something that is true, but on the other hand, also, sometimes this makes us a little self centered. There has to be a very right balance between the fact that we are taking care of ourselves and we are taking care of our relationships as well. So, in when it comes to personal relationships, as we say, it's mostly about romantic relationships, familiar relationships, and the relationships we have with our friends and family, anything that is of personal nature. The second type of relationships are the business relationships. Business relationships are basically when we have to deal with people who are strangers to us but are of our benefit. Business is mostly between companies and people and workplace. Whenever the word business comes to our mind, it's mostly about a lot of people or maybe two people, but there has to be a very formal relationship between this. There's a very thin line when in between when we cross the boundary here. Sometimes we become very good friends with our colleagues and the people around us, but when it comes to business relationships, there's always a very thin line that we have to maintain. The thin line is based upon a lot of things, but again, I'd say all of that comes from the kind of person we are, because that's the one thing that's going to stick no matter what kind of a relationship it is. So I'll move to the next slide. The key elements of relationship management, and whenever and after these slides, whatever I'm talking about after the personal relationship and business relationship part, whatever slides would come, there would be a collective understanding about both the types. So the key elements of relationships are mutual understanding. When we talk about mutual understanding, it means that we need to be quiet, understanding, and we should have an open mind about the people we are dealing with. We have to have this idea in our head for sure that these are the people we are talking to are also human beings who have separate lives, who might be going through a lot of things, who might not be going through certain things, but everybody has a story. So there is when mutual understanding comes to play, that we are trying to understand how we will be able to have a connection where there is understanding. And I hope everybody here understands what understanding is. It means giving equal respect to the opinion of the other person, as well as making sure that even your opinion stays with you. The next thing is collaboration, which is kind of related to mutual understanding. Collaboration means that when different ideas and a lot of different opinions come together, collaboration happens. Only if we have mutual understanding. See, all of these key elements are kind of interrelated. One cannot just live without the other. And when it comes to management, yes, a lot of things come into play. So collaboration and mutual understanding both are very important for what? Conflict resolution. Conflict resolution again happens as the other person we are dealing with is a different individual and is unique. There would be difference of opinions and thoughts and emotions and etc etc. There's a whole big range of factors that are different when it comes to dealing with another set of individuals. So therein when conflict resolution comes into play, once we start understanding the fact that okay, and accepting the fact also that not everybody is similar, everybody has their own share of stories, there is when we are able to have conflict resolutions. And all this happens on the basis of these two things, which are called communication and trust. When I talk about communication, I just do not mean at all that I'm speaking and you are listening, and that's communication. Communication is a lot of things. It includes paraphrasing, it includes being aware of the fact that whatever I'm trying to say to the other person, is that person in the headspace to listen to that particular thing? What if the other person is going through things of their own and they're not able to understand, yet they're just going to nod their head and they will listen to us, but they won't be able to understand it because they have their mind in other 100 places. So when we are dealing with communication, we need to make sure that even the other person is in the right headspace to listen to us. They could be our best of supporter and they would want to be there and listen to us, but sometimes people are not in the right zone, I'd say. So if we want us to be ourselves to be heard, we need to make sure that even the person we want to get listened with is also understanding what we are trying to say. And that is when paraphrasing comes to play. Like you just ask them that, okay, did you understand what I'm asking? Or were you able to like conclude what I was saying? Something of that sort. And yes, the last one is trust. Trust might be the last one here, but it is the basic root of any relationship. I won't just say it's the basic root, but I would also say it is the basis for anything probably we do in life. Even when we are talking to a stranger also, then and there also there's a certain kind of trust that is shared. Trust here is trust doesn't only mean loyalty, or it doesn't mean that whatever you will say to the other person, वो आप सिर्फ सच्ची बोलोगे. Trust is your intention is right, what you're doing is right, and it's not only right for you, but it is also right for the other person. When it comes to trust, one individual, when gives their trust to you, they're probably giving a very important aspect of the relationship to you. So it is very necessary to make sure that the trust is always present and try to not break it. I won't say that people do it deliberately and they deliberately break trusts, but trust has to be very solid. Solidity also comes from being solidity also comes from being very, I'd say, self-aware, which I'll come to from the next slides. Yes. So the strategies for a good relationship management would be building rapport and establishing trust. When building rapport comes, this as psychologists, building rapport is a very important aspect in our lives. I won't just say in the sessions, but in our lives. We have this weird thing that we need to build rapport with people. And this is there because we want to establish trust. We want the other person to understand and believe that we are going to be there. We're not going to break your trust. There is a very I'd say mature level of emotional understanding that happens when there's rapport building. Rapport building comes from talking. I'd say a lot of talking, a lot of listening, um, spending time also. So that is important. Active listening and empathy. Active listening is what I explained to you in the previous slide basically. Active listening just doesn't mean sitting and listening to somebody. It means being prompt enough to make your tips and bits of things in between to tell the other person, but it also means to understand that person on a deep level, and that won't come unless you have empathy. Empathy is the core of relationship. It is also one of the building blocks, just as trust. Putting yourselves in the other person's shoes is empathy. It's not important that if you have empathy, you always need to help the other person. But at least if you have empathy, you will be able to, you know, I say vibe with them. They'll be very open to you, and then you will be also able to listen to what they are saying. The moment the other person sheds one drop of tear or you see a slight change in the tone of their voice, you will quickly understand that something is wrong. And there is when your active listening gets activated. So in order for that to happen, you should have empathy. It's like just being kind. It's about being a nice person. And when you are a good person, you will have empathy in you. Regular and open communication. Regular and open communication doesn't mean that I'd be a hypocrite if I say this, but I do believe that that रोज बात करने से कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, but नहीं, रोज बात करने से जरूर फर्क पड़ता है. Regular communication is necessary because even if it's for 5 minutes, even if it is for 10 minutes, it's both in your personal and professional relationships. A regular communication helps the other person to, have a tiny like a peak in your life, and if the other person has a tiny peak in your life, it is easier for them to understand you. For example, something is wrong with you, and if you don't have a regular and open communication with the other person, it would be difficult for you to go to them and make them understand that you might need to slip out of that situation, or even they wouldn't be able to understand the same. And again, open communication comes when we are open minded. When we let our mind be free enough to take in all the ideas, opinions, and every other aspect of thinking into our head also. Some people I've seen, they are so, I wouldn't say strong headed, but they are so into themselves that they don't even understand if the other person is trying to put out something. They must be right. I'm not saying they're wrong, but a kind person again would always let the other person say what they want to say. So there has to be some open communication in order to build a good relationship. Consistency and reliability. So consistency is kind of what is similar to regularity, and reliability is kind of similar to trust, I'd say. Being consistent and reliable in a relationship is as important as putting, I'd say, garlic into a lot of Indian dishes. So consistency comes with you being constantly available. Constantly being available for the other person doesn't mean that you're completely exhausting yourself. It just means that you are making sure that every time that person needs you, you're kind of there. And reliability is related to consistency also, as any person who is not reliable won't be considered consistent. But in case uh, you are reliable and you miss some or the other situations of the other person, and you weren't able to provide them with the kind of support they needed from you, but they know that you're reliable, right? So it won't get you into trouble. Resolving conflicts in a conducive manner. Resolving conflicts in a constructive manner means that it just is not ki theek hai, you sit here, I'm going to sit here and we'll talk it out. It doesn't mean that. It means using certain words and avoiding certain words that could create a lot of problems, and it would rather lead to getting you and the other person into trouble and maybe spoiling your relationship. Constructive manner examples would include not saying things like, you are the culprit, you are the one who did this thing, you did not submit your file on time, or you, like, as in poking onto the other person's character and making it all about them. So when we use words like you, I, it is very individualistic. But when it comes to relationships, it is important to talk into terms like we, them, they, these words, as they help to construct a very um, non-individualistic environment where the other person also feels that okay, yes, this person is not talking about themselves, they're talking about both of us. So see, even when I speak, I have developed this habit of speaking in these, I'd say, pronouns only, like we, them. And it is not because it's a weird habit of mine. It's not that. It is because I am learning to make my communication skills so strong that when it comes to resolving conflicts with anybody, I am never making them feel bad. Because once we poke onto somebody's character, or when we try to, hit somebody's ego, you know how people get. So in order to do that, we have to just change some words from our vocabulary and shift some of our grammar sentences here and there and throw them in a way that the other person doesn't feel humiliated or they don't feel disrespectful. And constructive manner does again include all these things. It does also include doing occupational activities with the people, like resolving conflicts. You can just like paint together, maybe. When it comes to personal relationship, just sit together, paint something out, and then maybe you can ask the other person to tell what color represents what part of your relationship with them. So there are just various techniques. You just have to be a little creative when it comes to being constructive. If I'm going to tell you my tips and tricks, you're not going to come to me when it comes to relationship management. You will be like, okay, we can solve it on our own. So we'll do a little activity here. It's a very small activity. All of you, what you have to do is um, just write 5 things that are on your priority list when it comes to your understanding of a good relationship. And when I say your relationship, it has to be completely subjective. मतलब ट्रस्ट और कम्युनिकेशन मैं भी बोल चुकी हूँ, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल वुड राइट इट, आई नो इट इज वेरी नेसेसरी, बट अगेन जो बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें होती है ना, things that like a deal breaker in a relationship, I want to hear that from you. Can you please everybody just write 5, your top 5. I'll pick out the ones which are very different, so kindly give yourself, I'll give you like 2-3 minutes, write something down and then we can discuss upon it. Guys, can you please write something, because then there are a lot of things that I might skip here, and when you write what is your necessity when it comes to a relationship, then we can probably discuss upon it. Just your top five. And if you can't write your top five, you can write your top three. Your top three necessary things in a relationship. Mm, okay. If one partner is okay, I'll address these questions at the end of the workshop. For now, I'm just gonna talk about the activity. Understanding, respect, empathy, communication, support, trust, transparency, respect. Space, open discussion, alignment, guidance, diversity, communications. Any more? Few more, I'd say. Thoda sa और if people can write, then we can discuss more. Yeah, I'm just going to talk about a few ones that I've picked from here. Um, Transparency, I've read two times, so I can talk about transparency. When it comes to being transparent, I personally do believe it is very important in a relationship to be transparent. But some people are not built that way only. Like you need to understand from your the other person's perspective as well, that sometimes they are not built in a way in which they are very transparent. Some children, when they grow up, they are not that open with their parents. So the same habit comes to their relationships as well. When they grow up, they are not very open into telling what they're actually going through or something like that. But yes, that is something that needs to be built upon. uh, you guys can talk about it. You can always understand, try to understand them. See, everybody comes from somewhere. Not People are not just random individuals who just say or do anything they want, right? तो हर चीज की कोई ना कोई रीजन होता है, कोई ना कोई वजह होती है. And the same way, transparency is also something that will come in a relationship at a certain point, only when you'll be able to understand each other. Maybe the other person feels that they couldn't be that open to you. So tab it is important, and transparency generally comes in personal relationships and not in private ones, professional ones. Mm, somebody has written jealousy. See, jealousy is not. I'm not saying it is not a part of a relationship. It happens when I think if you do love somebody, you could be jealous for a lot of reasons. But there is again a very thin line between jealousy and being very overprotective. So it is very important to maintain that. Um this one is very nice. Holding each other to understand through body language what trauma effects they are facing. Yes, generational trauma is a very big thing. uh, it is not taken up that seriously, but when it comes to generational trauma, it is something that has been passed on from people from the generations throughout. Like for example, um there's a weird anxious and there's a weird anxiety present in the grandparents, which has been shifted to the children and which have been coming towards the younger generations as well. So it is important to understand each other traumas, their generational traumas. And traumas are not only something that are very disastrous, as I'd say, like you PTSD का फॉर्म नहीं ले सकते. पर कुछ लोगों के traumas, चाहे आपके लिए वो जितने मर्जी छोटे हों, for the other person they could be really big. From a very For you it could be a very minor thing. ऐसी कोई चीज जो आपको affect ही नहीं करेगी, but for the other person it could be a very big thing. तो it is important to understand कि उनका trauma कैसा था and उनको कितना बुरा लगा है, उनके triggers क्या हैं. It is very important to understand them, because only then there will be a good transparency in between two people. Like, okay, freedom. Yes, freedom is also necessary. You there with love comes jealousy and freedom together. So yes, being free is your right. Nobody can take that away from you. But it is again a balance here. You cannot just make the other person feel really bad about themselves if they're not letting you be free. Yes, you can explain to them that what are your factors that you consider as freedom. आप उसको कट कर सकते हो. For example, there are 10 things that you consider as just being free. There has to be a mutual understanding there. कि ठीक है, 5-6 चीजें आपने कर ली अपनी मर्जी से, and the 5-6 things you just are like कि ठीक है, if you said I'll not do that. इससे कोई छोटा बड़ा नहीं हो जाता. It just creates a sense of rapport and a respect in between the two people, because they will also feel that yes, you do respect them and their opinions and what they are feeling as well. Okay, should we? Okay, this is, I think, enough. And empathy and trust, decisions, loyalty, responsibility. I think this all of them are quite understandable, and I think you also understand them quite well. There are some practical tips that I would like to provide to all of you when it comes to relationship management. I have talked about few of them in the previous slides also, but I'd like to proceed with a few also. Sorry. Be responsive and proactive. Being responsive and proactive means that being quick into support, being quick into understanding the other person, being quick enough to be there for them. Proactive does means that you are available whatsoever, what so the situation would be, you are there for them. Whenever I say things like that, it doesn't mean that you're doing everything on your cost, on the cost of your sanity, but by having a right balance between doing enough for the other person that they feel that you are responsive enough if they are in a weird situation and they need you. Personalized interactions. When we personalize interactions, it helps the other person to feel that yes, they're understanding me. A lot of time in my sessions, what I do is, I won't say that I cook up stories, but I just try to tell my client that okay, if you are feeling this way, I completely agree with you, because sometimes even my mother used to do the same with me. you know it is just taking a few bits and pieces and making them feel that okay, I have also been through that, not exactly in the way you have, but I have also dealt with that in my own way. So a little inch and bit of personalization helps a lot with relationships, because it helps into a fluid rapport building. Time management. Time management is the necessity of both personal and business relationships. There is a very thin, I won't say thin, I'd say it's a big line between work and your personal life, and it is necessary to maintain that. Uh, when it comes to relationships, time management, basically what it does is it helps the other person and yourself also to take your time, your self-care time, and also to have the other person feel that they are there for us as well. आप उनको भी टाइम दे रहे हो, आप खुद को भी टाइम दे रहे हो. ऐसा नहीं हो रहा कि आप अपना सारा टाइम उन्हीं को दे रहे हो या अपना सारा टाइम अपने आप को भी दे रहे हो. उन चीज़ों को बैलेंस करना इम्पोर्टेंट है. अगर आप काम से थक के आ रहे हो and you're very tired and you don't feel like talking to anybody, I do that. I come back from work and for 1 hour I'm just in my room, not talking to anybody. In the initial years of my work, my parents used to feel that what is wrong with her, or she's being rude and things like that. But slowly and steadily, I was able to make them understand that I am not rude, I am not being irritable. I am just taking my space and my time, so that when the time comes to talk to you all, you also feel okay and I also feel good about it. It doesn't feel very pressurized. It doesn't feel कि जबरदस्ती नहीं आज तो मुझे मम्मा पापा के साथ बैठना ही पड़ेगा. And all this comes when you're managing your time easily. अगर मुझे पता है कि for example everybody has like a 9 to 6 or 9 to 5 job. For example आप 7-8 बजे तक घर आ जाते हो. Take your time, eat your food. उसके बाद sit with the people you want to spend your time with or you want to manage your time with. Just like manage the time in a way in which you are able to be with yourself and the other person. या अगर एक दिन आपने उनको साथ पूरा ही ले लिया, थोड़ा सा टाइम अपने आप को भी दे दो. Be reliable and deliver your promise. Yes, reliability I discussed earlier. Delivering promises is the basis of a bit of trust also and consistency also here. कि आप अपना promise deliver कर रहे हो. अगर if you have said that okay I will do this for you, you do that. And if in some cases you weren't able to do that, you explain to them. Take responsibility also. नहीं हुआ तो बताओ. There are reasons कि ये क्यों नहीं हो पाया मुझसे. Open communication. Again जिसने transparency बोला था, इधर ये भी आता है कि transparent हो, बता दो that there were some reasons that I wasn't able to deliver onto my promises, but I would make sure that I do it next time so that you don't feel bad. It is a very easy thing, I tell you. Whenever there's conflict resolution, use words like we and they, but when it comes to thanking the other person or being sorry, एकदम से personalize कर लो चीज को और individualistic बन जाओ that I am sorry. You won't say we are sorry, right? तुम्हें बोलना है I am sorry. क्यों? Because it's easy. It's easier for them to believe that you are considering their point of view and you are being understanding enough to say that okay I wasn't able to do it this time but I will do it next time for you. Just add the terms in between so that they feel that they're acknowledged, they're appreciated. Which comes to the next one, show appreciation and gratitude. Appreciation is very important. I think all the girls here agree with that. We want attention, we want love, and we want a lot of appreciation. But I have also noticed guys do too. So appreciation is something that is very necessary. It doesn't only have to be there in personal romantic relationships, but it is important to be felt appreciated in work settings. जैसे होता है ना कि लोग बोलते हैं कि द बॉस इज ऑलवेज राइट और अगर वो तुम्हें कभी अप्रिशिएट ही नहीं करेंगे. इनिशियली पीपल यूज्ड टू टेल मी तुम्हारे बॉसेस तुम्हें कभी अप्रिशिएट नहीं करेंगे. बट फिर मैं सोचती थी कि एक अच्छा बॉस तुम्हें क्यों अप्रिशिएट नहीं करेगा. अगर कोई चीज़ सही है तो वो करेगा ताकि तुम और बेटर करो. कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म नाम की भी चीज़ होती है तो मे बी वो कर लें. बट एक अप्रिसिएशन साइड किसी भी रिलेशनशिप में लाना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि वो बंदा एक्नॉलेज फील करे. दे फील दैट यू आर गिविंग देम अ सेंस ऑफ ग्रैटिट्यूड कि ठीक है you've done something for me, I thank you for that. What you call as एहसान जताना and things like it, वो नहीं. When you say it in from a very empathetic and in a very gratitudinal way, तब वो appreciation लगता है. Continuously work on building and nurturing relationships. I have discussed this earlier. I'll talk about this again. You have to keep building upon relationships. You cannot stop. It's not work. ठीक है यहाँ वर्क लिखा है but if you see it from a very realistic perspective, we say that relationships take work, but if you transform as a person wherein you are evolved, you are self-aware, you are empathetic, there are just 5 4 things that you need to have in your personality that help you to be good in relationships. मतलब ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आप बुरे इंसान हो पर अगर कुछ चीजें आपके अंदर हैं दे डेफिनेटली हेल्प यू टू बिल्ड बेटर रिलेशनशिप्स. तब ऑटोमेटिकली आपका वो कंटिन्यूस वर्क चलता रहता है विदाउट यू इवन नोइंग. अवॉइड ब्लैक एंड वाइट थिंकिंग स्टाइल. ब्लैक एंड वाइट थिंकिंग स्टाइल्स इज समथिंग कि आप सिर्फ सही सोचते हो. आपको लगता है कि ये चीज सही है और ये चीज गलत है, कि ये चीज ब्लैक है ये वाइट है. देयर इज नो ग्रे इन बिटवीन. But in reality, life is gray. It's not black and white. Human beings are gray. They are not black and white. ग्रे भी नहीं, देयर आर ऑल शेड्स एंड कलर्स, बट कोई सॉलिड कलर हम किसी पे कभी डिफाइन नहीं कर सकते कि नहीं ये बंदा तो इसी कलर का है। सो द सेम वे थिंकिंग स्टाइल्स भी ऐसे ही होते हैं। अगर हम ब्लैक एंड वाइट थिंकिंग स्टाइल्स रखते हैं, उससे द प्रॉब्लम दैट कम्स इज दैट you are not able to take in other people's ideas and opinions. You feel that मैं सही बोल रहा हूँ, the other person is saying the wrong thing. So rather than having a black and white thinking style, and I'm not saying all this is going to change overnight, you have to keep working and building upon this. And relationship management is not just for your relationship, it is for you also to become an evolved person. तो black and white thinking style किसी भी area of life में it doesn't help you. Practical होना, logical होना is a good thing, but it is also important to understand बीच की सारी चीजें. Open mindedness, you have to have your mind big enough to take in anything that the world offers to you. अगर आप एक सेट पैटर्न बना लोगे जिसके अंदर 10 चीजें हैं, एंड अगर वो 10 चीजें लाइफ में नहीं होती हैं या सामने वाला वो 10 चीजें they're not able to give it back to you, you will not be able to nurture your relationships. You won't be able to form connections that you really want to, because even though you love the person, or even though you're very good at your work, but at the end of the day, if you won't be able to accept ideas or take in ideas or take in different types of thinking styles from other people, it won't help you in the long run. Temporarily ठीक है, everybody feels that okay, I have a, some people say no that I am like this, I won't change, यही मैं ऐसे ही सोचता हूँ, यही मेरा थिंकिंग स्टाइल है, ये नहीं बदलेगा. बट हैव यू एवर सीन दैट दोज पीपल कैन नॉट ग्रो इन लाइफ? वो कुछ बुरा नहीं कर रहे हैं, बट वो कुछ अच्छा भी नहीं कर रहे हैं अपने लिए. दे विल बी स्टक, वो स्टैग्नेंट हो जाएंगे क्योंकि वो अपने आप को हेल्प ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. और वो सेम चीज वो अपने रिलेशनशिप्स में भी सेम चीज करते हैं फिर. So those are some of my practical tips. I tried to have a very concise PPT कि मैं आपको फटाफट बता पाऊँ within 1 hour how to handle relationships, which has to be a really big topic क्योंकि हम रोज अपनी लाइफ में relationships देखते हैं and we are surrounded by it. There are some books that you guys can read. I've just mentioned some books. Obviously, you can listen to TED Talks. You can read a lot of research papers. So reading also does help. I was in my college when I read this book called Five Love Languages. I wasn't ever a fictional reader. लेकिन जब मैं ऐसी बुक्स पढ़ती थी तो मुझे रियलाइज होता था कि लाइफ इज क्वाइट ईजी एंड वी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड बिकॉज वी आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड आवर सेल्व्स. तो जब हम ऐसी बुक्स पढ़ते हैं ना, वी आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड आवर थिंग्स ऑल्सो, जिससे बहुत ईजी हो जाता है in order to deal with our relationships in life. So there are some books you can always read. This Frictionless, Future Ready, Give and Take. You can always search on Google. This list I got from the Forbes list of 10 good books you can read about relationship management. Keep reading, keep yourself updated. Listening to such workshops is also nice, but other than that, if you keep reading things like that, it automatically goes into your subconscious where you are able to, you know, maybe आप उसको practice करने लग जाओ जल्दी. The 10 minutes left. I would love to hear as many questions as I can from all of you. So you can put in as many questions as you want. I'm ready to answer them. I'll take some questions that are there. Just a second. Yeah, so let me see. जो पुराने questions are थोड़े से I'll talk about them. Relationships are the basic institution that we step in every phase of life, human and social animal, most important. I saw some questions. हाँ, if one partner is a narcissistic, then how to have a normal relationship? Please tell. Have you? I mean, are they being diagnosed with a narcissist personality disorder, or like they are actually narcissists? मतलब अगर आपकी assumption है तो अलग बात है, लेकिन just in general if you're asking me कि narcissist का कैसे deal करना है, I'd say in the most kind way as possible, क्योंकि उनकी नज़र में you cannot win from them, but you know you're right. But as a professional, I'd say that try to just focus on yourself, and until and unless your person is not being diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, I don't want to talk about it because it kind of goes against the I won't say ethics, but usually मैं ऐसे randomly नहीं बोलूँगी वो बात कि क्या क्या करना चाहिए. Hmm, how to communicate and emotional intelligence throughout the communication process. See, emotional intelligence is something which is very dear to my heart because I have read a lot about it, and from what I have understood about emotional intelligence is that it is being aware of your emotions, it is being aware of the other person's emotions, and then dealing with everything that comes your way. Emotional intelligence से क्या होता है कि it is very easy for you to be empathetic towards the other person. कुछ लोगों का इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस बहुत हाई होता है जिससे उनको वर्क प्लेस में भी बहुत बेनिफिट होता है. किसी भी इंसान को अगर लाइफ में इफ दे वांट टू succeed in life, researchers have come up with say that emotional intelligence is a necessity for that, just on the basis of IQ or just the hardcore intelligence we talk about, सिर्फ उसके थ्रू नहीं, but emotional intelligence से you can grow a lot in life, in your personal, in your professional life. तो जब इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस की बात आती है, आप खुद को पहचानिए. uh, Reason yourself whenever you're put into situations. Try to be aware about your behaviors, your actions whenever situations occur, good or bad. अपने आप को पहचानो, जानो. It will be easier. Start with yourself. You yourself will be in a state where you can easily understand the other person also. How to deal with the person who thinks he or she is always right and don't want to listen to the other person. आप उनको black and white thinking का concept समझाइए. uh, Tell them that ऐसे करने से the relationship will not be over, but उससे damage पड़ता है. Because every time you say that I am wrong and you are right, you are mostly saying that you do not care about my views and my opinions. But as the other person in the relationship, I feel that I need to be heard also. There is a way to communicate what you're saying. अगर हम यही बोलते रह जाएंगे तुमने ऐसे नहीं किया, तुम ऐसे कर रहे हो, and तुम तो ऐसे बोलते हो that I am always wrong and you are always right, I can't deal with that. See, ऐसे बोलने से कभी कुछ रिजॉल्व नहीं होगा. तो there's always a tone, एंड कभी भी कुछ किसी को समझाना हो, लुक फॉर द राइट टाइम. अगेन, रैंडमली कभी भी ब्लर्ट मत करो, राइट टाइम ढूंढो. कुछ भी ब्लर्ट करना है तुम्हारे, यू हैव साइकोलॉजिस्ट, यू हैव थेरेपिस्ट्स, यू कैन ऑलवेज बुक योर सेशंस विद देम एंड यू कैन गो टू देम एंड ब्लर्ट एज मच एज यू वांट. Let me see some more questions. How to how to satisfy women psychology if accept every. See, satisfying तो इकोनॉमिक्स का भी कॉन्सेप्ट है ना. वुमेन डू नॉट गेट, आई वोंट से वुमेन, कोई भी सेटिस्फाइड नहीं होता है. सेटिस्फैक्शन की कोई लाइन नहीं है. इफ यू रेड अबाउट इकोनॉमिक्स, क्या you must have read in economics. So starting me when you read economics in your 11th class, they do tell you that human wants are unlimited. So when it comes to being satisfied, it's kind of difficult. But yes, as you grow up, as you get mature enough, you do start seeing satisfaction in bare things in life. छोटी छोटी चीजों में you start seeing and feeling that satisfaction. Um, इसके बाद what is the easiest way to handle introvert students? I'm a teacher working in school, so many times I face this. Dealing with introvert students, I'd say that कभी भी उनको एकदम से जाके ये मत बोलो कि स्टैंड अप एंड स्टार्ट टॉकिंग इन द क्लास, या खड़े हो जाओ एंड स्टार्ट रीडिंग समथिंग आउट, और क्या आपने उनको बोल दिया कि 60 बच्चों के सामने खड़े होके एक पोएम सुना दो. इट्स नॉट गोना हैपन. दे विल नॉट फील गुड अबाउट इट, एंड दिस माइट lead to a decline in their self esteem. You can always start building a rapport with those children who are introvert. Understand, see, introvert भी बात करते हैं, right? तो उनके साथ एक rapport maintain करो. You can always keep sending them to the school counselor as well for some like sessions wherein even the counselor helps them to be a little extrovert when it comes to being in the class. एंड आप उनका ज़बरदस्ती नहीं कर सकते. यू इफ यू डू दैट, नो, इट डिक्रीजेस देयर मोरल बिकॉज़ बाकी बच्चे हँसेंगे उन पे फिर. तो इट वोंट बी एनी गुड फॉर देम. यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू व्हाट्स बेस्ट फॉर देम, लेकिन वो कलेक्टिवली नहीं बैठेगा बिकॉज़ बच्चों को वो बात, बाकी बच्चों को वो बात समझ नहीं आती. तो ट्राई करो टू डील इट ऑन अ पर्सनल लेवल, एंड देन स्लोली एंड स्टेडीली आप क्लास में उन्हें धीरे-धीरे करके छोटी-छोटी चीज़ें करने को बोलो. How to deal with someone who lies repeatedly but at the same time promises to correct the typical nature every time. See, it's a very personal thing that you have asked, but people who lie repeatedly and then they keep and they say that they are promising, it's a cycle. If it keeps going on and on and on, it's a sign to tell you also something that why are you putting up with all that. But yes, you can always see somebody in order to discuss all of this. I'm sure there would be reasons for that also. I'm just going to take the last question. I can't see this. How to make emotional intelligence better? Uh, it's important to be really mindful. थोड़ी सी basic activities and bring a little bit change in your routine and your habituations as well. Uh, Start eating good things. A healthy gut is a healthy mind. Um, be mindful, start some breathing practices. ये सब करो, physically change करो body के system को, and again then start with changing how you react to situations, how you respond to situations. Notice yourself, acknowledge yourself, do some self affirmations, maintain a nice diary where you can always talk about your feelings. I think this would be the end of my questions for now. Shivam sir, do you want to talk to them about something?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending this workshop today with Viveka ma'am on relationship. And before we move forward, if I say before we end up this session, I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I was reading the comments in the section, in the chat section. So moving forward with this, I just want to give a short brief about what exactly Counsel India is doing. So Counsel India is an e-learning platform of psychology where we provide multiple courses of psychology, short-term, long-term, certification courses, diploma courses, likewise. And recently we also got accreditation from the Sector Skill Council, a mission by Skill India, and that directly is governed by Government of India. So likewise, I know you guys have a lot of questions to ask, especially with the trainer. So what you guys can do, you guys can either mail us or you can we'll be sharing an email to you with a certificate like in 3 or 4 days. And along with that, we'll also try to our counselors will try to connect with you to help you with the problem that you face psychologically, or any support that you need as an emotional support, or any kind of we can say emotional well-being. So in that context, our counselors will connect with you. You can share your issues with them, and if anybody is interested to register for a course for a proper long-term solution, or a sustainable solution, we can say, which can help you to make your life better. So in that context, you can also connect with us. And on my screen, you can see a few of our participants who have done our courses in earlier days, and likewise. And I can also show you the list of courses that we have on my screen. You can just have a look at it. Likewise. So, and anyone who is interested to know more about our courses or the curriculum that we have or the creations, anything, you just feel free to connect with our counselors, and they'll be happy to help you. So here we come to the end of the session. We'll be sharing the certificate and everything with on your emails, right? So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thank you, Yurika ma'am, for joining for
Thank you.
the workshop. And
Thank you for attending this session. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so that you get regular update on more valuable sessions, and visit www.counselindia.com for free ebooks and psychology related learning.